I want to dive into this topic a little deeper now by bringing into the conversation our friend here, legal affairs journalist Meghann Cuniff. Meghann, of course, you have been following this story extensively for some time now, actually. But let's kind of break it down for our viewers here, because the charges that Diddy is facing very serious and could lead to life in prison. So tell us, what are those charges?
Charges. There's a sex trafficking charge. There is a transportation for prostitution charge, and then there's a racketeering charge, racketeering conspiracy, which alleges basically organized crime, and that's the case that could carry a potential life sentence if convicted. And it's an all-encompassing charge that includes allegations of arson and other crimes that aren't actually charged in the indictment, but that prosecutors have said in other filings that they have evidence of and people willing to testify about.
So earlier this week, Diddy pleading not guilty to those charges, the racketeering conspiracy and the sex trafficking. What is the precedent that his defense is now setting the stage for as they prepare to defend Diddy's innocence?
They do have the option, like the report said a minute ago, of pursuing an appeal to the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, which includes the New York federal courts, regarding his bail issue. It'll be interesting to see if they do that, because it would be a legitimate criminal defense advocacy move to do that. But the idea that the Second Circuit is going to let him out, that they're going to see any kind of problem in what the judges did here, the previous judges' assessments of this, I think is just slim to none. So it'll be interesting to see if they actually do pursue anything with the Second Circuit. But other than that, it's preparing for trial. And I thought they made an interesting and a good defense strategy move at his last appearance with the district judge, Andrew Carter. They declined to waive his right to a speedy trial. So that puts them, they haven't set a trial date yet, but if he continues to do that, that'll put prosecutors under the gun to obviously be prepared to go to trial. But that could also lead to a superseding indictment against him that has other co-defendants in it. Because if he has other co-defendants, it's easier for the prosecutors to get a trial extension if he's not agreeing to waive time. So there's a lot of what ifs right now, but I think at this stage they need to get ready for some kind of litigation of the actual case facts, because I don't think the bail issue is going to go anywhere. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see if they do pursue anything with the Second Circuit.
Meghann, before we look ahead to see where this is going to go, when the trial may play out, let's kind of go back in time for a minute here and walk us through how we got to this moment where right now we're seeing Diddy sitting in a jail charged with these really terrible accusations.
It's a pretty shocking downfall for somebody. I mean, for anybody to be where he is, not a good situation in life. It's not a good place to be. I mean, his lawyers described the conditions there as inhumane, and he's not the first criminal defense attorney to describe the conditions of the NBC there as inhumane and really unlivable. But to have a celebrity of his stature and just the lifestyle that he was used to living, we all saw the footage from his mansions when they were raided back in March. To go from living in a situation like that to to a jail cell, and then also the conditions that he's placed under, the restrictions. Obviously, I can't imagine he's having any contact with other inmates. He's totally isolated. But then prosecutors have indicated that drugs were involved in this. That a prosecutor said during his first bail hearing that they found suspected drugs in the hotel room when he was arrested. So you couple the situation he's in with the possible withdrawal from whatever drugs he's on. It's just got to be a terrible situation for him.
Speaking on some of the conditions that he is kind of going through right now, I want to bring up this tweet from TMZ. I want to touch on this topic a little bit here. It says, Diddy placed on routine suicide watch at Metropolitan Detention Center. Meghann, what have you heard about this?
I could see that happening, and I think they're correct to label it as routine. Although it kind of is shocking to see those those phrases together there. It does seem like this would be standard operating procedures, because just of what the conditions that I just described in the last question there, just the downfall for him and what he's up against, and the possible withdrawal from drugs. I think it would be yeah, I think that we would see that in other cases too. And I think that the desperation or just the shock that he might feel being in custody, it might be reflected in the speed in which we saw his bail appeal hearing, because it's typical that we would see the bail request during his first appearance, but you might expect to see an appeal to the district judge come a little bit later to give them more time to put together a more thorough package, or a different, to have it the next day like that was a little unusual. And that could just reflect the fact that he's had attorneys working on this for quite a while. That was one thing that surprised me about the case, was they filed a lot of their correspondence with prosecutors in the months before this, and you saw that he had his attorneys working a lot on this. So they might have just been very prepared to appeal to the district court judge. But other attorneys have remarked that that is really a sign of the clients saying to his attorneys, get me out of here, do anything you can to get me out of here. So they've exhausted that role. But like I said, it'll be interesting to see if they do pursue anything with the Second Circuit, because I just think I don't know if any defense attorney, given that that is a good legal option, would just say, why bother? But I think from another standpoint, people who've just watched this before and understand the chances of that happening might say, why bother? But we'll see.
Meghann, when digging in through some research here on this entire story, I mean, I can go down a rabbit hole of so many different theories that I'm reading online, but I'm curious to know, have you seen any celebrities commenting on this, or any other prominent figures? I mean, it's a big story. It's a big deal, especially within the entertainment industry.
It is. I have not taken the time to really look too much. I've just been, kind of busy tracking all the filings and developments. But I think people are proceeding with caution on this. I don't know if anyone in Hollywood or the music industry has spoken up too much. But like I said, I haven't really been monitoring that very much.
I want to look ahead then, because now that we know that his bail has been denied twice, he's going to remain in jail until this trial gets started. I mean, what kind of timeline are we looking at here?
It'll depend on if they do secure a superseding indictment with co-defendants, or if he just agrees to waive time. And then the question would be, if there is a superseding indictment with co-defendants, what is the nature of the co-defendants? Are they all people who are unnamed co-conspirators right now in the indictment and could testify against him? Or is there any thought that Diddy could somehow implicate other people around him? There's just a lot that remains to be seen. But I told somebody the other day, I promise this isn't going to actually go to trial until at least a year. I mean, if he won't waive his speedy trial rights, it's still not going to go to trial. This year. It's like I said, they can add co-defendants and do all sorts of things. So I think we're in for a long wait, but there's a status report actually due on Monday. So we'll find out some more information then about what the plan is on how to proceed. And I think we'll be getting a trial date probably on October 9th. That's when their next status conference is before the judge.
Meghann, still so early on into this entire case. Of course, Diddy just being arrested and charged this week, now being denied bail, excuse me. And, you saying that this trial isn't going to get started for at least several months from now. So really preliminary when we talk about this. But before I let you go, is there anything else that you feel that you have to point out about this case, things that you think that we should be watching out for, something that you're most particularly interested in seeing within the next developments?
I think that in the next week it'll be interesting to see what they say in their status report on Monday, and then if we see some action with the Second Circuit Court of Appeals, and if we do, what kind of package do they put together to the Second Circuit regarding bail release that's substantially different from what they submitted to the district court. That'll be interesting to see. And then the big question of co-defendants: is he going to get co-defendants? Have prosecutors secured the cooperation of enough co-conspirators that they don't need to do that? Or are they going to see the value in not only having some leverage on co-conspirators in the form of criminal charges, but also, like I said, it just helps with scheduling. And if he won't waive time, his speedy trial right, they can force a continuance through a superseding indictment with co-defendants.
Still, so many things to watch out for here at Meghann Cuniff, legal affairs journalist. We always appreciate your time. And of course, we'll be checking in with you as this trial proceeds. Thank you.
Thanks so much.
Of course, we're going to step away for a quick commercial break. But before I do so, this topic and these charges that Diddy is facing, it can be particularly triggering to some people, especially survivors of different types of domestic and sexual abuse. So I do want to put up on your screen here just a reminder for everyone that there is a national domestic violence hotline. If you or someone you know is experiencing abuse, the hotline is available 24/7, 365. You can call 1-800-799-SAFE. You can also call 1-800-787-3224. You can chat at thehotline.org, and you can also text START to 88788. Of course, it's free and confidential for anyone that feels that they need it. We'll be right back.